Hello, my friends. Hello, welcome back. We got another Guardians Daily for you after a fun night in downtown Cleveland, Ohio. Nice win for your Cleveland Guardians, also your Cleveland Cavaliers if you're both a double Cleveland fan. Next door at Rocket Mortgage got a big win, playoff basketball against the Detroit Pistons. So a lot to like downtown last night. Guardians game, that was an easy one. 7-0, or maybe 7-1 ended up being the final. Angels did tack on a run late. Big night for your Cleveland Guardians. Really started at the plate, started early. A lot of good things coming out of the top of that lineup. Obviously, DeLauder's been really good lately. He's been on a heater. Still having issues with Quan. We're going to talk Quan in a little bit. Manzardo had a really nice night at the plate. And just a lot to like. Joey Cantillo's been really good all year. And he has kept it up. That's what you've been getting from Cantillo. These quality starts. He went 6 shutout. Really just a nice overall and well-timed win, especially this offense struggled over the weekend. Kind of showed some flashes Sunday, obviously putting up 4, and it was kind of just one at a time, leaving runners on. Get one in, but leave runners on second and third. One in, leave runners on the corners. Didn't do that as much last night and got the outs we really need. Got the hits at the right time, got the extension runs. And then, poor Alex Manoah. My gosh, just got back to the major leagues, former Cy Young candidate. Kind of had a lot of troubles. Pitch clock really took him out of the sport. They made him throw away almost 80 pitches last night in relief. They were just letting him out there to dry. He actually didn't look terrible, but his issue's always been the walks and his control problems. He kept walking. Guards walked a ton last night. A lot of free passes, but they were patient walks. It wasn't like they were just the Angels couldn't find the zone. It was a lot of really good at bats, not being too aggressive from Guardians hitters. So a lot to like from that perspective. And one guy, multiple walks last night, and he's been walking a ton this season since he got called up, is Travis Bazzana. And that was kind of the wrap on him. This guy just, it feels like he's always on base. Like may not be driving the ball a ton. He had a big 2-run double last night, but he's just on base. Like it's like the old Moneyball adage. Like he gets on base. This guy feels like every time you look up, you're like, oh, Bazzana's on first. Oh, Bazzana is still second. He just continues to be impressed and do the little things right. He just seems to be where he's supposed to be. He gets on base. He's lightning fast, but he's a smart base runner too. It's not unnecessary risks. So he's doing a lot of the stuff you want from a young player and doing it early. Like this is something you kind of thought would take time, especially because he is a base stealer. He's an aggressive base runner, but he has been making like mental mistakes in that aspect. Obviously, someday you're gonna get thrown out. That's gonna happen. But he's been so good at the other stuff. He's obviously there's still work to grow for him as a second baseman. In terms of that comfort growing and things like that. But it's there. You can see the skill set. But he just continues. He's on base. He's running the base. He's stealing bases. He's getting that going first to third. Little things like that. And then obviously the at bat quality. It seems like he just has not been chasing since he got his first hit. He's been one of the best hitters on this team. You know, Obviously it was a little bit of a slow start. Obviously a little bit of a grind for him to get that first big league hit. Obviously he got it against the A's. It was actually a 2-run RBI single. So, he started off once he got one, he was going right away with the RBIs. And there's been a little. I think we got it eventually, and we can talk about this more as we get into the Quan stuff, which is where we're heading. So we might as well just move on to it now, but we're not gonna yet because I want to give Bazzana a little more shine here. Number one pick, and I think there's so much pressure, especially because there has been some studs out of that draft. Nick Kurtz for the A's, stud. JJ Weatherholt in St. Louis, we saw him earlier this year. He lit us up, and he was making like those flash plays. And now I think we're starting to see that with Pizzana. Obviously, first big league homer over the weekend against Minnesota. And you can just see the confidence at the plate. He's not chasing. His at bat quality is as good as you'll see for a guy in his first month at the big league level. Whether that's resulting in hits or not, too. His advanced numbers, like in terms of exit velocity, things like that, expected batting average, all much higher than his actual batting average and things like that would show you. He's hitting the ball Sometimes there's a little bit of that unluckiness. Like, Matt Underwood loved the stat early this season for when Manzardo was really struggling. But his numbers were, he was kept saying, man, Manzardo, unluckiest hitter in baseball, unluckiest hitter in baseball. Hasn't been that extreme for Bazana, but it's definitely a factor. I mean, even DeLauder recently, it feels like DeLauder is just smoking the ball at guys. But that's baseball, and that comes with it. There's also going to be those little ones where you hit it 2 feet in front of the plate, and you end up with a single. So it comes and goes, but Bazana, lot to like, and I'm really starting to enjoy watching this guy. Enjoy the way he carries himself. Very mature for his age. Like that post game interview last night with Andre. Respectful, answered all the questions, gets through all the stuff, but like tell he's still having fun and soaking it up as he's like really getting used to the big league level. So a lot to like with Bazana, and that's what you want to see. Obviously, the guy's the number one pick. A lot of pressure, a lot of expectations there. You're starting to see why. If at least I am personally, like, with these young guys, especially MLB, like you don't watch a ton of college baseball, at least naturally for people like that and these draft guys. And then you try and do your best to keep up with how they're doing in the minors and stuff, but it's really never going to be the full test until you get up here. And obviously, things could take a turn. He could end up having a terrible career. I just don't see it happening though for Travis Bazana. So lots of like there with that young core of Bazana, DeLauder, and some of the guys in AAA that are well on their way. Cleo Watson, other guys like that I want to see soon. But good win last night for your Guardians and the offense. But one guy still, and he's right at the top of the order, and he's been one of the best players in this lineup. He's just not right now, and that's Stephen Kwan. It's desperate times for Stephen Kwan. And it's becoming a top conversation every day. It feels like in Guardians Twitter, Guardians discourse. How much longer can we let this guy sit at the top of the order? He's been a leadoff hitter for this team his whole career. It's crazy. No, you don't see that very often. But he came up within a week. He was the leadoff hitter. He was that good right away. Obviously, he got off one of the best starts in MLB history. Wasn't swinging like obviously the swing and miss record he had came up in that big series against Kansas City and just he had like 9 hits or something crazy. Like, he was that good. And he kind of has been that player his whole career. He's been one of the best, obviously, left fielders in the sport, gold gloves, things like that. But he's been one of the best leadoff hitters. Like in these playoff series, he's hitting leadoff, he's getting on base, he's getting the timely hits. And something flipped around that trade deadline last year. And, that's the conversation right now is what they could have gotten for Stephen Kwan. Obviously, the Class A, he screwed us and really cost them a lot in return as well. But that same time frame was also Stephen Kwan. They got a lot. There was a lot of good offers, supposedly on the table for Kwan last year at the deadline. And Guardians fans didn't want it to happen. I'm not saying this is this is revisionist history a little bit, honestly, because there was a move. Keep them, please. Don't trade Stephen Kwan. We're tired of trading these guys that we homegrown. We don't send them the big money, so we trade them, and then they go play elsewhere, and you miss them. And we've seen that plenty of times with the Guardians. We've seen it with Lindor. We've seen it with Sabathia. We've seen it with Cliff Lee. Seen it with all these guys that you just know you're not going to be able to fully pay going forward. But probably should have traded him. Probably should have traded him last year. It seems like, right? I mean, he can't hit right now. And obviously, he's one of the best outfielders in the game, if not the best defensively. But this offense is needs something out of the top of the lineup, and he's just not giving it right now. He doesn't look like himself. Like the whole thing with him is he doesn't swing and miss, and he doesn't chase. He's got this great eye. He's chasing, he's swinging and missing. He's just looks, and he's always been a really positive attitude guy. Looks down on himself. I don't know. They've tried it already. Give him a couple days off. What you can do with him, but it's getting to a point right now. And obviously, he's Stephen Kwan. I think will turn it around at some point. I just don't know if he'll ever turn it back to the player he was. You know what I mean? There's a big difference between him turning around and getting up to 240, starting to hit okay and be a big leaguer, and getting back to the guy who was like almost trying. He spent a full season almost trying to hit 400. That was a conversation. You know, or at least, and then like he was hitting 350. Like there's his numbers got ridiculous to the point with the quality of hitter he was, and I just don't know if that's in there anymore. His value's gone trade wise, so I don't even think that's the move now. I think you kind of just got to ride him out, but I think you just have to change the way you view him. His contract's iffy. You still got another year on it, but I think a move in this lineup, at least temporary, just give it a shot. I think Bazana, and I think it's a lot for Bazana since he just got here. If you want to put him in that leadoff spot, but I think Bazana's your fit. Bazana's a perfect leadoff guy. He gets like we said, he gets on base, he runs, he does everything you want him to do in a leadoff guy. I mean, and Kwan did too. I'm not denying that. Steven Kwan has been an awesome leadoff hitter for this team, but maybe it's time. Maybe it's time. And also, like another move you could make, just in terms, Manzardo had been better lately, so maybe this is not as much if you're going to get the good Manzardo. But maybe a switch. I would think there's maybe a move to flip the Lauder to that 4 spot. Maybe you move up a Schneemann, maybe move up an Angel into that 2, or even a Bazana if you want to keep Kwan, like something like that, just to give Jose a little more protection is a thought. But you never know how they. I don't think they want to do anything like that too soon. And I don't know if Bazana, like that's the perfect fit for the Lauder. But just food for thought. So see if there's any moves coming up. They did say yesterday they don't plan on moving Kwan out of the leadoff spot, but at a certain point, I think it has to be at least a conversation, or maybe some days off, more days off, or something of that nature with Kwan. But as we close here today, we got a little bit of rotation talk last night. Joey Cantillo was awesome, and I want to just get into a little bit of the Slade stuff. Slade probably his best start of the year last weekend. Can he build on it? I think this is a big opportunity for him. This Angels lineup, obviously Mike Trout, but there's not a ton in it. Go get another one from Slade tonight, and then you can really start to build that confidence for him, and this could be the turning point in his season. Obviously, the numbers were bad. This is a chance for him, I think. Go put a nice start together against the Angels, and obviously just kind of build on what Cantillo did last night. I think this rotation really has a chance to be one of the best in the game right now. I mean, not necessarily. There's a bunch of really good ones, Dodgers, things like that. But in this division, I think it's going to come down to how good this rotation ends up being. I think the Patrick Bailey move is going to end up really helping. I think just defensively, that's as good. If he's as good as he's hyped up to be, you should be saving a lot of runs. So something to keep an eye on there. A lot of excitement right now with this new moves, this youth influx. Bazana, DeLauder obviously been on fire. So there's a lot to like with this young team right now. This division's tight. It's gonna be a tight summer between the White Sox, Twins, Royals, Tigers. I mean, everyone's in it. And I know it's early. It's May 12th or whatever. But as we get into the early June, that segment, that June, July, just keep watching those standings. Like obviously right now it really doesn't mean much. You're right up at the top. But everyone's got a chance here. So every division game, as we see, obviously we have the Reds coming this weekend, so not a division opponent, a little Canadian for you. But obviously, every division series is really going to be big. That's why that Twins one, where you really should have had a sweep, in all honesty, and you end up losing 2 out of 3, really could come back to sting you. But going to have other opportunities. So keep an eye on that going forward. Keep an eye on the mound tonight. It's going to be Slade Cecconi for your Cleveland Guardians. And let's win a series. Get it done tonight. Don't have to worry about it. Wednesday afternoon game, we'll have that coverage for you. Tomorrow morning, going to recap tonight's game. But I appreciate you tuning in to Guardians Daily. We'll see you tomorrow. Thank you, folks.